All right, so jumping into this example right here, we've got a graph and it says how many extrema does the function have? Extrema is any maximums and minimums. So how many maximums and minimums do we see in this graph? Well, I see a maximum. I'm going to zoom in over here. I see a maximum about right here, and I see a minimum right here, and I don't really see anything else. This graph we can pretend goes forever, so those are the ends of the graphs are never maximums or minimums. Okay, so I only see one maximum and one minimum, so that means there's going to be two of them, two extremas. What point is the relative maximum? Remember, relative maximum means it's the maximum of that section of the graph. Well, here is this section of the graph, so that means there is a maximum, a relative maximum. The relative maximum is going to be point B. We're just going to call it by a point. Okay, and then what point is relative minimum? Well, I do see a minimum on my graph. Here's this section of the graph. There's a minimum there, so that my minimum is going to be part C, point C. Now listen to this part carefully. Is there an absolute maximum? And absolute maximum and absolute minimum only happens when there's more than one of the relative and the relative maximum and the relative minimum. So no, there is no absolute maximum because there's only one maximum and only one minimum. So there's not an absolute maximum that is the maximum of two or more. Okay, so there is not an absolute maximum because there's only one. No, because only one maximum. Okay, so if I am the only person in my classroom, I am the only person in my classroom, so you can't say I'm the absolute tallest person in this room. That just doesn't make sense. I'm the only person in this room. So the point B is the only maximum we have, so it's just a relative maximum. There's not an absolute maximum because it has no competition, so to say. And same thing with the minimum. No, there is no absolute minimum for the same reason. There's only one minimum. So there's no competition there. Okay? That part is a little tricky, but if there's only one of each, there's no absolutes. Alrighty, x-intercepts. Remember, your x-intercepts are where your graph crosses the x-axis. So let's erase my highlight so far. My x-axis is highlighted here in blue. So where does my green graph meet my blue x-axis? Well, it happens about, let's get black. It happens right here. It happens right here. And it happens right there. So there's a couple of them. There's a couple places where my graph crosses the x-axis. So I'm going to write them all out. I have an x-intercept at this point here. So this point here happens at -2, 0. This point right smack dab in the middle is 0, 0. And then this point over here, if I line it up, this is 8, 0. So let me go write those out. I've got -2, 0, 0, 0, and 8, 0. Okay. And then my y-intercepts, let me erase what I have here. My y-intercept is going to be where my graph crosses my y-axis. My y-axis goes up and down like this. So this graph crosses it at about right here. And again, that point is smack dab in the middle. So that point is also 0, 0. So you can have multiple x-intercepts. You can have x-intercepts that are also y-intercepts. Your x-intercepts are anytime there's a 0 in the second spot. So remember, the second number is how much you go up or down. So that's 0 there. And your y-intercept is when there's a 0 in the first spot. So that's why your x-intercept and your y-intercept is both 0, 0. All right, I have one more example where we will see more than one maximum and minimum. So watch the next video for that on the next page.